Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, whenever you are listening to the Drive to Dayton, episode 13 of season 2. Gentlemen, we are officially and fully tournament underway season. How we feeling about this?
Ready.
Let's go. Let's go.
I feel like it's been a bit of a weird year where I've seen kind of both ends of the spectrum in terms of I've seen a lot of really good games, but I've also seen a lot of really bad games. So I'm just looking forward to seeing some good ball. Trying to be a little more selective with the games that I go to this postseason, and excited for district finals weekend, man. That's always my favorite weekend of the entire season, and it's less than 2 weeks away now. So I'm excited to get there. So
Yeah, that last week is kind of difficult to keep track of things because you got teams that are finishing up the regular season. Then you got Southeast Ohio and Southwest Ohio who have already started the tournament. So I think Southeast Ohio, they're already down to the district semis, correct?
yeah, so
it's going to be easy in D2 because we haven't made our picks yet.
Yeah. So the good thing is, and I can vouch for these two guys, that looking at who we were going to pick, there has been nothing that's happened to this point that would have changed anything with our picks. So nobody that we were going to pick has been taken out yet. So I don't think any of us thought that was going to happen, but you never know. All right, gentlemen, let's jump into this. Let's get this party started. So my introductory question for this week is, I wanted you guys, Roth, I don't know if this will be that difficult for you because last year, as the tournament went on, you were coming out of left field with some haymakers.
I hit a couple though.
Yeah.
I hit a couple.
Yeah, you fare pretty well in today's baseball game. You're either striking out or hitting it over the wall. So
you know what my take's going to be here.
All right. So my prompt here is, I want you guys to make one outlandish claim heading into this tournament. Roth, I'll start with you.
I got some flack over this. I know the team they're playing is red hot. I got Thomas Worthington over New Albany, and then also beating Mount Vernon to make it to the district semis in the Central 4 district, where they will push Newark.
Okay, so Roth likes TW over red hot New Albany. Now, was this the same TW that had to cancel this past week?
Yeah, was that on their end?
I have no clue. I thought they were involved.
They were involved with the cancellation.
Okay.
They have a win over Olentangy late in January. That's Olentangy won their OCC division. They have a win over Worthington Kilbourne by 11 points on the road. They just beat Olentangy Berlin by 11 points. That's their last regular season game. So they're playing okay basketball. And then when you look at New Albany, they've had a couple close calls. A 7-point or 8-point win over Hilliard Darby, 3-point win over Westerville Central. They've had some close calls, 1-point win over Gahanna. It's I'm going out on a limb, and there's a chance that New Albany wins by 25. But you asked for a bold take, and I gave you a bold take. So
I love it, Roth. That's why I bring you on, for those type of takes. TJ, what do you got for me?
this is going to be a red hot one, man. I don't know why. I just think this year is just been a little wacky. I predicted, right? I think we all were almost on the same page with this. with Northeast Ohio having a chance to win all 4 state championships this year.
Yeah.
I believe it was even one of our buy or sell questions or one of our introductory questions in the last few weeks. I am going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that Northeast Ohio only wins 2 state championships. I'm not sure which 2 that will be, but I just do not see things going the way that I am envisioning them, just because I feel like this postseason is going to be a very interesting one. I think we're going to see more upsets than we typically do around this time of year. So that's my hot take. Northeast Ohio will only win 2 out of 4.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. I'll close this out here with. Are you guys got a seatbelt on or anything right now?
Oh God.
I can't wait to hear that Stubbs thinks Pick Central is going to win a district.
Well, that's a little late.
That's crazy, by the way.
That's a little later in the show. This is far more outlandish than.
Oh, St. Clairsville Final Four.
Well, I don't know. We'd have to weigh these. Here's what I got, gentlemen. Only 3 teams since 1922 have three-peated in the state of Ohio. There's not going to be a 4th. Richmond Heights is going to get clipped by somebody before that trophy goes in their hands at the end.
I don't know. I don't know about it.
I think the only way those guys get clipped is if they go to the barbershop the day before. I don't know about that stuff. Maybe
Listen,
some papers, ball face or something. But
if Richmond Heights running clocks everybody to the finish line, I will paint my face.
That's not happening.
Blue and white. I'll come on here, whatever you need me to do. But that's my take, and I'm sticking to it. And while we were talking about, I was thinking about something. I think about odd things late at night for whatever reason. I mean,
apparently,
who thinks of strange high school basketball stats? If you guys remember when we picked our player teams, it was like one of the first shows, and I think I picked Cam Elwer as my 6th man, and it seemed like even to me
outlandish at the time.
Even to me, like after I said it, I was like, man, look at it like who we kind of didn't like left off. I was like, it's a little wild, Stubbs. That's a little wild, but after the season's played out here, it doesn't look all that crazy with the season he's had. But I don't know why I thought about that the other day. I think I was looking at Lakota East, and I know Trey Perry was one of the guys I picked, and then I started thinking about my team, and I was like, I think I was gonna get lopsided L's against you guys' teams, but didn't look too bad after I looked at it.
That's funny. You had definitely a little recency bias because he was your player of the week, I believe, either that week or the week before.
Yes.
Then
Fresh in Stubbs' mind.
Yeah, you forgot that we were doing a 6-man and just,
I think I completely blanked. All of a sudden, I was like, oh, man, we're doing a 6-man. I looked over. I was like, oh, he can put the ball in the basket. Let's go with him.
Don't do that.
Man.
All right. I don't know if you guys have anything for last week's recap, anything that you got something, Roth, that you wanted to go over. I got one thing, but Roth.
Yeah, I mean, I attended 2 sets of games, so I figured I'd just briefly mention them. On Tuesday night, after dropping my roommates off at the Drake concert in Columbus, I ended up going to the Westerville South Licking Heights game, and I got to see Cruz McClure for the first time this season, and all he did was outscore Licking Heights by himself. Another very impressive performance by McClure. He's a kid who is one of the elite shooters in Ohio, excellent defender, has taken a leap as an athlete. He had a very impressive dunk off of 2 feet, almost from like the dunker spot with a Licking Heights defender underneath the rim. He's taken a big leap this season, going to be getting some high major eyeballs this spring and summer, already has a handful of mid-major offers as a priority for those schools. He'll at least be scouted by schools of a bigger size. And then on Friday, I saw a playoff doubleheader. Western Hills took out Kings for a second straight season. They played really well in the fourth quarter. And Western Hills, they forced enough turnovers to walk out of there with a victory. I was impressed with Western Hills senior wing, Basaru Kante. He averages a team-high 16 points a game. And on Friday night, he had 21 points and was 13 for 16 from the foul line. So Western Hills gets a nice win. And then Fairfield rolls past Harrison. They were actually without Cam Sanders. So got to see a couple other guys step up for their team. And it really was the 2025 duo for Fairfield of Gabe Clemens and I'm sorry if I butcher this name, Davion Krim, I believe younger brother of Deshaun Krim, who was the point guard a couple years ago at Fairfield. So good win by them, hoping to potentially have Sanders back for their next round game, but got to see a couple new kids stand out for Fairfield as they had no trouble with Harrison. So those were the two games I caught this week.
Yeah, you mentioned West High. That, you guys could tell me if I'm wrong, but that CMAC seems like it's a little deeper than it. I mean, typically you have a couple of really good teams at the top, but it seems like 4 or 5 teams this year are really pretty good.
Yeah, the top 4 is very impressive. You got Aiken, who won the conference at 8-2. Woodward and Taft went 7-3 in conference play. And Western Hills, they only went 5-5, but they only lost 1 game to a non-conference opponent, and that was at Goshen. So we'll see. They play against Middletown on Tuesday night. We'll see if they can get another impressive postseason win. Just got a gritty group over at Western Hills, and like you mentioned, the CMAC, they'll have a chance for a couple teams to make runs in D1 and D2.
I actually have a pair of CMAC teams, not only, getting some upset wins, but I got both of them winning district titles. I know we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, and I'll be happy to explain why. But I'm looking forward to our district picks for Division I and Division II later in the show. Roth has kind of, left his up to, mystery. He hasn't filled out the doc, so I'm curious to see where he goes. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mentioned this on the 5 at 5. I wanted to get you guys' take on this. This stat was crazy to me. Lakota East had lost 12 games this year, and 11 of those games were by 7 points or less. And then the other game that they lost was by 10. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that is wild.
They're like the Scott Frost, Nebraska of high school hoops. I mean, 7 points or less 11 times. That tells me that, if they could figure it out, they could knock somebody off.
The other thing about Lakota East that is a little interesting is they started the year with really good production from Tice Myers. First game, 11 points, 8 rebounds. Second game, 15 points, 11 rebounds. And then he got hurt, and he came back on January 5th, but he didn't go back over double digits until February 9th. So he went over a month without scoring double-digit points. And in his last 4 games, he has 11, 11, and 10 points in 3 of them. So he might be hitting his stride at the right time. And he might be a kid who, if you have another legit scoring option next to Trey Perry, because right now their second leading scorer is at 6.5 points a game. Mm. I mean, a healthy Smyers was averaging 13 points a game in only 2 games, but those were against legit teams. They were against St. X and Princeton. So if you get Smyers back healthy, and you have like a Robin next to Trey Perry's Batman. You got some tough physical kids like Tyler Bachman and Derek Jackson. They could be a playoff sleeper for sure.
The other game, and this is just from a personal standpoint, something I thought was just unbelievable. Like, I got a lot of questions. I told their head coach, I got a lot of questions. My alma mater the other night, ladies and gentlemen, St. Clairsville was playing at Harrison Central, which is a big rivalry. They play for the Coal Bucket in football, but they play in basketball. And I heard there's talks that they might not be playing anymore, which, hey, if anybody's listening to this on Harrison Central side, I know what the St. C side feels like. Stop the nonsense. You guys should be playing. Stop it. But anyway, this game, St. Clairsville is trailing 54-33 with 2:57 to play in the third quarter. They end up scoring 91 points in this game and win it 91-88. I still don't even know how that's possible.
Until I see a video, to me, this is the Wilt Chamberlain 100 points. God, that's what, 58 points? 58 points in 11 minutes?
It went to overtime, didn't it?
Yeah, it went to overtime. But
so what, 16 minutes?
Yeah, 15.
15 minutes. That's insane.
Crazy. That's still crazy.
And I just, losing a 21-point lead with, less than a quarter and a half to play seems like it's really hard to do in a high school basketball. You had to be doing something right to get that lead. But anyway, Tyson Pastor with another big night, 35 points for St. Clairsville in that game. He had a huge junior year. They're heading into the tournament on a winning note. But let's look at it's not a big list of milestones this week, but how about Michael McClurg, the head coach at Minster, with his 100th win? Caleb Schilling, a guy that we've been talking about on this show at East Canton. He's become their all-time leading scorer. Jaron Zwick of Fort Jennings scored his 1,000th point. Carson Mummy of McConnellsville, Morgan, scored 46 to break his previous record, school record, which was 44. He did that in a win over West Muskingum. Cade Norris of Hilliard Bradley becomes Bradley's all-time leading scorer, passing 2018 grad Isaiah Spielman. Norris now has 1,521 points. Carter Kester goes over 1,000 for Toledo Christian in a big win over Emmanuel Christian. They win the TAC outright. This is not an Ohio player. Jackson Pardon of Bishop Carroll High School in Fort Wayne, Indiana. His dad, Brandon, was an unbelievable player at Van Wert Lincoln View. Jackson is going to Bowling Green, which is the same place his dad ended up playing. He goes over 1,000 as well. I know that his father is a big listener of the show, so I wanted to mention that. Elyria, first SWC basketball title in school history, so shout out to those guys. Coach, why is his name? Larrick. Coach Larrick and those guys up there. Colin White, seems like he's on here often. He becomes Putnam County's all-time leading scorer. This is boys or girls. That is courtesy of Michael Hearn, who is an avid listener of the show, does fantastic work up in Northwest Ohio. He also mentioned that Miller City, in a 66-51 win over Hicksville, gave them 18 regular season wins. That's the most since 1952 for Miller City. McDermott Northwest is headed to the Convo at Ohio University for the first time since 2011. And you guys will have to correct me if I'm wrong here. Riley Cervinka, 29 points for Padua. 7 3-pointers against Eds, 29 points. Most threes in a season at Padua and second all-time in school history there. So good stuff this weekend or this week, gentlemen, on the Milestones. Let's roll into games of the week if you guys have any that are piquing your curiosity.
So after like just kind of taking this last week of the, I guess, the semi-regular season, I don't know what you want to call what this last week was. But I kind of took it easy and, kind of prepared my schedule for where I'd be going for the state tournament. Just kind of get my ducks in a row, take it easy on the driving a little bit because I know the next few weeks are going to be absolutely brutal for me. I'm sure Rock can say the same. But on Wednesday, I'm getting back out in the gym. I'm going to go to Warren Harding at Barberton, which I believe is a 23 versus an 8. I think that game is going to be much closer than anticipated. Warren Harding has a ton of athletes. I think they're going to be able to match that up-tempo style that Barberton likes to play. A battle of two really intriguing juniors with Chaz Coleman from Warren Harding and Holly from Barberton. So definitely curious to see how that goes. Friday, this is a game I've been looking forward to as well. I almost caught the regular season game of this, but I believe if Oak Harbor wins their first game against Edison, they'll match up against Genoa in a sectional final, which should be a sold-out crowd. Definitely a big game there. Genoa lost, I believe, both regular season games, 1-4, 1-6. So they'll have a lot to prove. And as we know, it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a row, especially when there's a bit of a rivalry there. And then Saturday, if Cleveland Heights is able to get past Mayfield, they will play at my favorite gym in the world, the Camp McKinley Fieldhouse. So I'm excited to potentially get a look at both of those teams for the second time this season. So those would be my 3 games to watch. There are definitely Friday, Saturday, some pretty intriguing matchups. I think a potential Illyria Stowe game it would be worth mentioning. I'm sure you guys have a few other games that caught your eye as well.
Yeah, I can list off a couple. I'm not sure. I assume all these teams are still in, but I put potential Cincinnati, Wyoming versus Cincinnati Woodward game. Tomorrow you've got Princeton versus Lakota West, and then on Saturday potentially University School versus Strongsville and Eastlake North versus Menor. So those were some games I'm keeping an eye on this weekend.
That Wyoming Woodward game could be best game of the tournament thus far.
And that would be what, Friday?
Yep.
I just listed, I got 5 games here. It's harder to tell, if you're projecting out who's going to win later in this week. So looking at the games that we do know who's going to play, I was just kind of focused on D3, D4. I think Union Local and Tusky Valley on Tuesday night should be a pretty good contest, as well as Sandy Valley and Coshocton. Those schools aren't too far apart. Bluffton against Columbus Grove on Tuesday. That's a really difficult game to open up with if you're Bluffton, who's had a really good season. But Grove is a really difficult game to open up with. Wednesday, a game I'm intrigued by is Carlisle against Miami East. This Carlisle team has a pretty good record, but they have, I think everybody but maybe one kid on the team is an underclassman. So they're a team to keep an eye on in the future. And they play Miami East on Wednesday. And then Sunday at the Ohio Convocation Center, Roth perked up. You got a nice quadruple header down there. And 2 games that I'm really curious about is the nightcap, which is North Adams against Ironton, which I think Ironton, to me, all season has been one of those teams that's kind of played with their food. You got Sean Terry, who's out, with the football scene, going to Notre Dame. So I think that if you get a focused Ironton team now that they know it's win or go home, think they're going to be a really tough out. That's going to be a good game with North Adams. And then Wheelersburg and South Point. South Point was in the regional final last year, lost to Afrocentric, but Wheelersburg, Roth, this is a team that you saw early in the season. Played Harvest Prep pretty tough. I think they ended up getting beat by 9, but my goodness, what a job that they did down there this year. I don't know how many people expected them to have this type of season. Now they benefited from the transfer from Portsmouth, who also, the football team benefited from him as well. But
his family, he has brothers or cousins who had previously been at Wheelersburg, because I feel like there's been a Lattimore at Wheelersburg since I started covering the football scene in 2018. So
yeah,
that's a last name I'm familiar with down there.
Yeah, really good year under head coach Alex Prater, who was on their 2007 state semifinalist team.
And 2 of their better kids are sophomores.
Yeah.
So they'll be back next year.
Yeah, so that's my games of the week. I'm sure there'll be a shocker this week, 1 or 2 maybe.
I think you'll get maybe more than that.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm really interested in the game, that Wyoming game. That should be a really, really good game. Players and teams of the week. Roth, I'll kick it to you first.
Yeah, I will start off. My player of the week is Perez Nicholas from Bishop Hartley. He had 25 points and was a perfect 13 for 13 from the free throw line in the conference clincher for Bishop Hartley against DeSales. They win the conference title. Game, I believe, went to overtime. So big time performance by him. Hartley is going to be a team to watch in Division II. And then my team of the week is Menor. Continuing with the theme, overtime games to determine conference titles. They get a double OT win versus Brunswick, 89-84. That game determined the conference championship as both teams entered the game 9-2 in league play. So impressive wins for Hartley and Menor, building some momentum heading into the playoffs.
So I got a text about a week or so ago from a college coach who was at the Louisville-Massillon, Washington game, and they had mentioned a sophomore from Massillon who had, kind of caught their eye in the game. And then just a few short days later, that same kid, Jadis Thigpen, scored a team-high 32 points in an absolute shootout with Canton Glen Oak. Massillon ended up winning 99-93. So yeah, I wanted to give a quick shout out to him. It was just seems like it's a kid who's kind of trending in the right direction. And obviously, when we think of Massillon, we think of football, but they sneaky have a few college level kids on the basketball side of the thing. So definitely a team to watch, and not only in this postseason, but potentially next year as well. For my team of the week, we mentioned them earlier in the show, but I went with Elyria. They've won 9 out of their last 10, including 4 in a row. And they clinched their first outright league title since 1978. I believe Stubbs was probably 8 years old. And it was also their first title in the SWC. So yeah, definitely wanted to give a shout out to Coach Lyric and company. And those are my players and team of the week.
All right, to finish this out here, I went with Alex Bob of Maysville. He had 22 points, didn't shoot it incredibly well against Philo, but he did end up with 22 points. And then he had the big game against John Glenn to clinch the MVL. He had 30 points in that game and a 64-39 win against John Glenn. Maysville finished 19-3, and they are back-to-back MVL champs. So congratulations to Alex and his teammates and Coach Brown up there at Maysville. My team of the week, I felt like we couldn't do this without making this team the team of the week. The Malvern Hornets, the only undefeated team in the state of Ohio. They finished 22-0. They got wins over Buckeye Trail and River in convincing fashion, so they didn't slip up at all. So Coach Dennis Tucci and the Hornets finished the year at 22-0. My team of the week, the Malvern Hornets. And then my player of the week, Alex Bob of Maysville, who is their all-time leading scorer. So congratulations to all the players and teams of the week. And now, without further ado, let's jump into our district picks for Division 2 and Division 1. Probably what a lot of people are looking for or waiting for. Last week, we did our best numbers of the year, which is not surprising anytime that you're going to pick games, pick winners. People like to see that. All right, so let's...
I'm waiting for some tweets and some DMs, man.
Wait till they see that outlandish comment. All right, so let's start in Region 5 in Division 2. Northeast 1. We'll do this kind of same way we did 3 and 4. I'll list some teams in each district. So in Northeast 1, Region 5, I've listed Youngstown, Ursuline, Edgewood, Gilmore Academy, and Geneva. I think I know where we're all going here, but I'll toss it out to you.
I'm going with the team that I saw pretty early in the year. I saw Youngstown Ursuline against Warren Harding back in December, and they put on an absolute clinic. I think they have guard play. They're young. They're athletic. They have senior big Jaden Payne, who is more than capable when he's engaged in being a very impactful player at the high school level. And when I was looking through that district, I just didn't see anyone that could really match the talent level that Coach Gunther and company have over there. So I'm going with Ursuline pretty confidently.
Yeah, Ursuline has had a couple earlier than expected playoff losses, I think, the past couple of years, but I think they have enough talent to get through this one. I'm picking them probably a little less confident than TJ sounded there, but I'll pick them to move on.
They had a pretty, I'm not sure we mentioned this on previous shows, but they had a pretty big win over Hoban a few weeks ago. They definitely caught my attention, especially when you consider how well Hoban has been playing as of late. So this Ursuline team is young. I think they're going to be right back in this position next year, but they are certainly a threat in what I think is an absolutely wide open region in Northeast Ohio Division 2.
Yeah, of the 16 districts in Division 2, I felt there was 2 districts that I felt really confident about the winner, and this was one of them. So I'm going to go with Ursuline as well. Region 5, Northeast 3, we've got CVCA, Poland, Canton South, VASJ, and Holy Name.
I ran into Coach Futch, I believe it was a week or so ago, and I just had to tell him, man, I only watched CVCA once this year, and it was they picked up a pretty big win over Brush at the Holy Grounds Classic back in December. And my goodness, does that CVCA team compete? They play together. They're disciplined. They're vocal. When I watched them, it was just the epitome of what a well-coached basketball team looks like. Definitely not going to wow you with their talent, but certainly going to wow you with the brand of basketball they play. So I'm going with Coach Futch and CVCA.
Yeah, I agree. I think Futch should be in strong consideration for the Ohio Division II Coach of the Year statewide. I think what he's done with that team this year, if he's not the winner, he should be in the top 3 final candidates to win that award.
You heard it here first. Coach Futch, CVCA. I'm going to go with CVCA as well. Maybe not as confidently as you guys, but I didn't see anyone else that I was really trusting here. So give me CVCA. Clean sweep. First 2 districts, gentlemen. Let's go to Region 5, Northeast 5. Akron Buchtel, Norwayne, Cleveland, Glenville, Canal Fulton Northwest, and Canfield are some teams to mention in this district. TJ, where are you going here?
I think Canfield is a sleeper in this district. I did not see Cleveland Glenville at full strength. I caught their very first game of the season.
Yeah, I remember that.
Was impressed by them in a win over Cornerstone Christian, but I'm going with the team that we've been accustomed to seeing win districts, and last year they won the state championship. I'm going with Akron Buchtel. Obviously, they lost a ton in last year's 2023 class, but I think defensively this team is very good. Probably better than they get credit for. They've had competitive games, and they played a lot of really, really good teams tough down the stretch. So I'm going with Akron Buchtel.
I think because of how the bracket breaks out, I'm going to pick Canfield. If you told me who was going to come out of the top half of the bracket, I'd probably pick them. But Buchtel is going to have to go through Norwayne and likely Glenville just to get to a district final. Norwayne has to go through Buchtel and then Glenville. Glenville's going to have to go through one or the other. I'm really not sure who makes it out of those three teams. I probably lean Buchtel, but I'm going to take Canfield just because I think their path to a district final is considerably easier.
Well, we're going to be all different this district because Teddy Ginn Sr. went back-to-back in football, and I'm going to pick the Tarblooders to win the district. Give me Glenville. So we're all three. I like these districts where we're all different. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
All right, final district in Region 5 would be Northeast 2. We've got Warrensville Heights, Norton, Hockin, Revere, East Tech, and West Branch.
My heart wanted to go with Warrensville Heights here. Shout out to my guy, Coach Meach, aka Goggle Meach. But I talked to a lot of coaches in the pack, and just a lot of coaches in Stark County who have kind of raved to me about how sneaky good this West Branch team is. A team that I haven't seen live. I have seen Warrensville Heights, but it's going to be my hot take. I'm going to take West Branch in this one.
I'm going to go against TJ here. I'm going to take Warrensville Heights. I think that their athleticism, they got a handful of guys who can score the basketball. They can turn you over defensively. If they can force turnovers and get out into transition, I think they'll be able to advance out of this district.
Yeah, I don't know if you can go wrong with either of those picks. I really like the big kid, the 6'6", 6'7" sophomore West Branch has. They kind of play in an obscure area of the state where you don't, even guys like you don't get out that way too often. But I'm going to go with Warrensville Heights as well. I'm going to side with Roth here and take Warrensville Heights. So that wraps up Region 5. Let's go to Region 6. Northwest 1. Up top, I believe we have Toledo Rogers, Toledo Scott. Then we got Bowling Green, Toledo CC, and Wauseon in the bottom. So, Roth, I will start with you in this region.
I'm going to go with the team that's been there before. They have found ways to win big games, played a tough schedule, have the talent. They're young, but they're coming into their own. I'm going to take Toledo Central Catholic.
While I do think Toledo Central Catholic is probably the most talented team in that district, I'm going to go with Toledo Scott, a team that has, they beat Lima Senior early in the year. They played pretty close competitive games with Pick North, Emmanuel Christian. They beat Maumee Valley Country Day by 13 on the road. They had an overtime loss against Sandusky, who's got a chance to win their district as well. And then they lost to Lima Senior only by 7 in the second time they met up. I'm going with Toledo Scott, a team that I've heard from a few different people has just a lot of big, strong body, athletic kids. So I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to go with Toledo Scott.
I am going to join Roth again. and go with Toledo Central Catholic. I feel like, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but we've kind of like, I don't want to say dismissed, but like, I don't even know what the word is with these Toledo teams that are playing these Detroit parochial teams. Like Toledo St. John's has only they've only lost one game in the state of Ohio, which was to Eds, which was a really competitive game. The other losses are all out-of-state teams. So I don't know if we have a real good gauge comparing these to Ohio teams. Like, what is Toledo Central Catholic, when they get in this D2 tournament against teams that are not Detroit parochial schools. I'm going to go with Central Catholic as well. I like TJ's Toledo Scott pick. Would really like to see a Toledo team make some waves in Dayton, just because it's been so long since they've cut the nets down. All right, Northeast 4, gentlemen. I don't know if we need to spend a whole lot of time here.
Nope.
Lutheran West.
Yep.
Okay. Now, good thing we didn't have any time to spend on that one, because this next Northwest 3 is something. Whew. So we got Bellevue, Mansfield Senior, Shelby, Lexington, Willard, Perkins, Columbian. This is a deep, deep, deep district here. And I knew a couple people that were at that Willard Shelby game the other night. Shelby put it on pretty good at Willard. And I know how you guys feel about Shelby. I'm interested to see where you guys are going to go here. Roth, where are you going in this district?
Stubbs, I know this district is deep, and you've been hyping it up, but I'd be pretty shocked if it wasn't Shelby versus Lexington in the district final. And I'm going to take Shelby in the rematch. I think you can't really go wrong either way here, but I'm going to take the senior-laden team over the sophomore-laden team. So give me Shelby over Lexington, but you can't go wrong either way. I do really think that even though the rest of the district has impressive teams, I think these two are a clear tier above the rest of the pack and two of the top 5 or so teams in all of Division II.
I'm going with Shelby as well. I know a lot of people will look at that Shelby-Lexington game from early in the year. I believe Lexington was able to win by 4. One thing to note, I was talking to somebody, from that game, quite literally, somebody who played in that game. I was talking to Alex Bruscotter. You just kind of get his thoughts on, what happened and, how they see that game going around the second time. And apparently Shelby shot less than 15% from 3.
Mm-hmm.
And was still only able to, only lost the game by 4. I think Shelby is playing their best basketball of the season. While I do think Lexington still has a chance, I will go with Shelby.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Shelby as well. I like all the reasons you guys have given. I do think they have a little easier path to get to the district final. Lexington probably going to have to play maybe Willard. And, with Willard, Max Dawson can definitely have a night where he's scorching 35, 40 points. So they're not going to be an easy out. So I think it's going to be a little more difficult at that bottom part. So give me Shelby, clean sweep here in Northwest 3. Final district in Region 6, Northwest 2. We've got, this is kind of the Western, a little bit of Western Buckeye League. Elida, St. Mary's, Lima Shawnee, Fostoria, and Napoleon in this district. Roth, who you like?
I like Lima Shawnee. I think they've been tested the most in this district. Played a tough schedule. I know they're a little younger at a couple spots with the Berkey brothers, but they're a program that year in and year out expects to compete for district titles, and they've been in these big games before, so I'm going to take Lima Shawnee.
I'm going with Lima Shawnee as well. Just like Rob said, they've been battle tested. Even though they're young, I think they do have a lot of experience, and they played a lot of really close games. I'm just looking at their schedule. I mean, Lima Central Catholic, Convoy Crestview, Delta St. John's, which was a win for them. Ottawa Glandorf, Wayne Trace, Botkins. A lot of teams that, we've had picked to win their districts and, D3, D4, they played, and they played them pretty close and competitive. So I'm going to go with Lima Shawnee and Coach Triplett.
I think there's a lot of good coaching in this district. You have Matt Tabler from Elida now, who came over from Lima Perry, who did a great job there, and then St. Mary's with Hegemeyer and Shawnee with Triplett, but I'm going to go a little bit outside the box here, and I'm going to take Napoleon to win this district. I really like the Cruz kid. I think they're big, athletic, got some length. So I'm going to go with Napoleon in Northwest 2. You two guys will go with Shawnee. Let's move to the Kurt Stubbs region, Region 7. Start off with East District 1. I'll lead us off in this district. So East 1, we got Maysville, Indian Valley, St. Clairsville, and Steubenville. As much as both of you guys know, I really want to take St. Clairsville, but their path, man, they got to beat Steubenville in the opening round, who they went to overtime with. Then they'd have to beat Indian Valley and then Maysville just to get out of district. That's 3 really difficult games in a row. I just think that Maysville 19-3, playing in MVL. They got a dude and Bob. I'm going to take Maysville to win this district.
For me, this was a complete shot in the dark. Probably the one district that I felt like I was the least familiar with, where I haven't seen any of these teams play live in quite some time. But I went with Indian Valley here.
I as well went with Indian Valley. They played a tough schedule. I like the MVL champs in Maysville. Probably got a little easier path to a district final, but I'll go with Indian Valley as well.
All right. Next district will be, so this is like a hodgepodge here of East District, Central District, and Southeast District. So Central District 2, we've got River Valley, Linden, Hamilton Township, Hartley, Granville, and London. I caught the second half of that River Valley Shelby game that River Valley should have won. Officials completely blew the end of that game. I think River Valley is a really good team. Hartley, boy, they've had a coach. Coach has done a great job. Andreas has done a great job with Hartley. Yeah, man, that would be a really good, really fun district final. I think I know where you guys are going here, so I'm going to go with River Valley.
I'm going with Bishop Hartley. I just think that their talent and athleticism will be the difference. And one thing that, we've learned is, guards win games in February and March.
Yep.
And I think when you look at Hartley, and just like the plethora of guards and wings that they have, I think those guys are going to be able to apply pressure and really just kind of shift the outcome of some games just based off their tools. So I'm going to go with Bishop Hartley here.
Yeah, I went with Bishop Hartley as well. Too sound defensively to get upset this early, I think.
Yeah, I don't blame you guys for that. I knew you guys were heading that way. Definitely a good pick. All right, let's see. Southeast. This is the only Southeast district in Division 2. You got Marietta. You have New Lex. You have Warren. And who am I missing here?
Logan Elm.
Logan Elm. Okay, to me, this this is destined for a third matchup between Marietta and Vincent Warren. These two teams played in the regular season. They split. I believe both games were settled by 5 or less. I like both of these teams. The way Warren plays, it's really conducive to winning in the tournament. So I'm going to go with Coach Blaine Maddox and Vincent Warren to get out of this district.
Man, I feel like I'm just completely outmatched sometimes when we go to these, East and Southeast Ohio districts. We got a guy who spent 4 years, maybe 8 years is what it feels like, in Athens. 5, whatever, super senior.
I didn't go to class, okay? I lived there.
We can tell. And then you got Stubbs, who coached that. You're from St. Clairsville, right? Yep, coached down that way. Super familiar with a lot of these coaches and teams, and talks to these guys throughout the week. And then here's me, man, Northeast Ohio guys, with no ties at all to Eastern or Southeastern Ohio. But there is a kid from Marietta who I became a pretty big fan of in the spring, and that's Alex Kendall, kid going committed to Findlay. His head coach played at Findlay, was a really good player a few years ago. But I'm going to go with Marietta. I just think a kid, 6'7", true low block guy, he's going to be – I would think he's going to be like an automatic double team. Just an absolute load and really skilled kid as well. So because of that, and that's just kind of a familiarity pick for me, I'm going with Marietta.
I'm going with Warren. I think that their semifinal game is a lot easier. Don't sleep on Isaiah Stevens and New Lexington. I think they could be a team that gives Marietta some trouble with their guard style play. It'll be an interior versus perimeter battle there. So I'm going to go with Warren because I feel pretty good about their chances against Logan Elm in the semis. And like Stubbs mentioned, they take care of the basketball. They play a style of play that helps you move on in the tournament.
Yeah, my buddy was at that New Lex Miami Trace game the other night. He really liked that Stevens kid, and he said there was another pretty good guard on that team as well that he liked, or another player on the team that he liked at New Lex. So, keep an eye on them. Austin Gardner, man, at Marietta, he's got to be another name on that short list of guys that could be Division II Coach of the Year. He's 2 years. I mean, he's flipped that thing pretty quickly down there in Marietta. All right, last district in Region 7, we have East District 2, John Glenn, East Liverpool, and then you have Tri-Valley and New Philadelphia. Seems really easy here to pick Tri-Valley, which I'm going to pick Tri-Valley, but the team that scares me here is New Philadelphia. They play in a pretty solid conference there, the Ohio Cardinal Conference there with New Lex. And those guys, or not New Lex, but Lexington, Mansfield Senior. Yeah, Mansfield Senior, Lex. So keep an eye on New Philadelphia in this district, but I'm going to go with Tri-Valley.
Here's kind of a bit of a hot take from me, and I'm going with East Liverpool. I talked to a coach who had matched up with them earlier in the year, and he just absolutely raved about them and talked about how talented they were and the fact that they weren't getting a lot of press and a lot of coverage. So I'm going to take my guy's word for it, man. I'm going to go with East Liverpool here, and thankfully, we get to transition out of that and go into a region that I'm a little more familiar with. So I'm just hoping, man, if I can go 2-2, in Region 7, man, I will be a happy camper. If I somehow win that region, man, I don't know what you guys got to do. So
Stubbs, I'm riding with you. We got the Scotties.
Scotties.
Let's go, baby.
All right, let's bump down to Region 8, Southwest 2. I listed Taft and Alder. Is there anybody else I should mention here?
And McNicholas is worth the mention, even though I'm sure we're not picking them.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought they were still in it. I had listed Taft, McNick, Batavia, and Alter. So I I will throw an around the back pass to TJ.
Oh man! So if you would have asked me this question back in June or even
December.
August or November or any time
Yeah.
prior to the season, I would have pretty decisively went with Kettering Alter here. But I'm actually taking a pretty quick left turn, man. I'm going with Cincinnati Taft. One common theme that I see when I look at this Kettering Alter schedule, right? They went 16-7, which is absolutely nothing to scoff at. But I see some pretty common themes with some of these games where they've had issues. Where I look at a Westminster Academy who's just absolutely loaded. And they had to, fight from behind. I think they were down almost 20 points in that game. They lost to Northmont by 3 in overtime. There was another one. They lost to Westerville North by 17, which was kind of a bit of a hangover effect coming off of the Westminster game. So I didn't put a lot of stock into that. But the one game I did put some stock into was they lost 65-37 at Chaminade Julian. And the one thing I've seen is it looks like this Kettering Alter team struggles to accept and deal with pressure. And if there's one thing that, Coach Marco Bradley and the Taft Senators are going to do is they're going to pressure you and they're going to be physical with you. And they're going to, I think they're going to win this game. So give me Cincinnati Taft.
I'm going to take Alter. I think that they are going to be efficient enough offensively, and I worry just about Taft. They rely on a lot of turnovers, and with the way those CMAC games are, the games go up and down, but there's a lot of empty possessions in that conference, and I think that might burn Taft if they give away the ball a couple too many times. And Alter could take advantage of that. So I am going to take Alter.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Alter as well. TJ, your analysis about had me talked into taking Taft, so very well done there. Let's go. So the Lone Ranger here in this district from Central Ohio, we have Watterson, Johnstown, Bloom Carroll, Reedy, Jonathan Alder, Buckeye Valley, and Licking Valley. I think there's a lot of parity in this district. You could tell me several teams win this district, and I would not, disagree with you. I think you'd have a valid point. So, TJ, I think I know where you're going here, but who is your pick in this district?
I'm going with the team that, quite frankly, man, I've just enjoyed watching these last 2 years. I think their coach just runs just a lot of phenomenal action and plays just like a really good brand of ball. That's the theme I'm going with, man. Teams that just play good basketball often just get overshadowed to the teams that, that have guys. I'm going with Coach Basutti. I'm going with Bishop Reedy here.
I'm going to go battle of the Bishops. I'm going to take Bishop Watterson. I think they're a little more physical on the interior than Reedy. I think that could be the difference. Reedy has a little bit more talented guards, though. So, interesting matchup if they were to play in a district final.
Yeah, I went with Watterson as well. They are a team that is accustomed to winning in the tournament. Their style of play allows them to be very successful in the tournament. They're very well coached. So I think it could be either of those two teams, and it might not be either of those two teams. I think there's some really decent teams in this district, but I'm going to go with Roth as well with Watterson. TJ is going to go with Reedy. Region 8, Southwest 3. We've got Oakwood, Kenton Ridge, Tippecanoe, Dunbar, Franklin, Wyoming, and Woodward are the teams that I had listed prior to the tournament as teams to watch in this district. TJ, where are you going here?
I mentioned earlier in the show, man, I got 2 CMAC teams winning district titles, and I'm going with Cincinnati Woodward here. Quite frankly, I think Cincinnati Wyoming is a really good team. They have a player of the year in the conference with sophomore Kevin Wiley, along with a lot of other talented sophomores in that class. But quite frankly, I think they're just a year away from winning this type of game. I think they're a team that's, we're going to talk about a lot over these next 2 seasons. But I'm going to go with the senior laden group of Cincinnati Woodward.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm agreeing with TJ.
Well,
I'm going to go with Cincinnati Woodward as well. I think Rue Mills is going to lead them to a district title.
As they say on the Cover 3 podcast, we are in lock agreement here. I'm going to go with Woodward as well. Clean sweep. Region 8, Southwest 1. CJ, Urbana, Trotwood, Fenwick, Indian Hill, and Dayton. Those were the teams that I listed. Now, again, all these teams aren't still in the tournament. I listed these teams prior to any tournament games being played. Gentlemen, where are we going here?
I know we mentioned it earlier in the show, but it is absolutely nuts, though, that you have some districts that are in the district semis already.
Yeah.
Where we haven't even played a single postseason game in Northeast Ohio yet. And I don't believe they played one in Central Ohio either.
Nope.
So it's just so interesting that we have 4 different regions who just completely do things their own way. And it's like, hey, it don't matter what you do to get there as long as you get there. Handle districts and regionals however you want. It's
That's
just
wild.
very interesting.
That's wild to me.
It's so nuts. It's like 4 completely different tournaments that all lead to the same tournament. Very confusing and hard to explain. But I am going with Trotwood Madison here selfishly. I'm hoping that they make a push. Definitely a team that I didn't get eyes on this season. One of the top teams on my list that I was hoping to see, but quite, just haven't gotten around to it. So selfishly, I hope they make a run. I actually hope they win the region so I can see them down in Dayton. So I'm going with Trotwood Madison. Give me the Rams.
I'm also going to take Trotwood. I think they got the best guards in this district. I think it'll be an interesting clash of styles between them and Fenwick if they were to meet in the district title game.
Well, this was my preseason pick to win Division II, gentlemen, the Trotwood Madison Rams. So give me Pete Pullen in the Rams. So we're in lock agreement again in Region 8, Southwest 1. And that concludes Division 2. So let's go to the big boys and get this.
Before we do that, can we just make our region picks as well while we're at this? Looking at our picks, I think it'd be pretty easy to kind of figure it out. So I'm going to start. I'm going to go with Youngstown Ursuline.
Okay.
Lutheran West.
Okay.
Bishop Hartley. And Cincinnati Woodward. I think those will be the 4 teams that we'll see in Dayton.
Who was the last one, TJ?
Cincinnati Woodward.
Okay. Roth?
I will take Lutheran West. Trying to figure out who I want in this Northeast region.
It's nuts. I don't know who's going to honestly come out of there.
I'll go with CVCA, and then I'll go with Hartley, and I'll take Kettering Alter.
All right, so I'm going to go with Ursuline, Lutheran West. This Region 7's hard because I didn't have Hartley in there, so it's kind of a toss-up here. Give me Tri-Valley. Go with the Scotties. And then I'll go with Kettering Alter in the Region 8. So those are my 4 state picks. Looks we were all 3 in agreement on Ursuline and Lutheran West. Is that correct?
Yep.
No, I took CVCA.
Oh, you had CVCA. Okay. So we're all in agreement on Lutheran West.
Yep.
Okay. All right. All right. Division number 1. Region 1, Northeast 5. Hold on a second here. There we go. Region 1, Northeast 5. Looks like I had 3 teams listed here. Hoban, Strongsville, and then Brecksville. Is that fair, those 3?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I'm going with Archbishop Hoban. This is a team that, I kind of kept my stock, in. Oh, man, it's tough. It really is, but I do think this Hoban team plays their best basketball down the stretch. And I think Jonas Nichols is a guy that can, will you to some games. And I think they have a little more depth and a little more talent than just some of the other teams. So give me Hoban.
I am also going to take Hoban. I think you can flip a coin between them and Brecksville, but I went with Hoban.
Yeah, man, I'd love to see Luke Skaljek make the regional. He's had another great year. But I'm going to go with Hoban. Clean sweep here.
They won a district last year, did they not?
Brecksville.
Because they lost to Iggy. Was that a district final or was that a regional semi?
That was a district final, I believe, because then Iggy lost in the semis to Garfield Heights, and then Garfield lost in the finals to Toledo St. John. So it would have had to have been a district final.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a couple key pieces for Hoban, just being around the Pick Central program last year after you're coming off a state championship. Those guys are going to die hard in this tournament to try to get back there. All right, Northeast 6. We are titling this the Sonny Johnson District. Guest of the friend of the program.
The Youth Elite District.
Yeah.
I think a more interesting question is who is going to come out of the bottom side of the bracket?
This is the nobody cares district.
We got Garfield, St. V, North Royalton, Maslin, and Barberton here.
I'll go with Garfield over St. V.
Okay.
I'm going with Garfield over St. V as well, but I do think that game may be a little bit closer than what people are anticipating. I'm also wouldn't be shocked to see Barberton here to reach that district final as well, or even a Maslin, guys. I mean, like that bottom half of that district is completely wide open. I think it could go a handful of different ways, but the winner I think is going to be Garfield Heights.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Garfield Heights as well. I just don't think St. V's there yet. I think they're going to be pretty good next year if they keep the pieces together. But I'm going to go with Garfield Heights as well. So 2 clean sweeps to start Region 1. Okay, so Northwest 1. We've got, I think there's a lot of good potential matchups here. You got Lima Senior, you got 21-1 Sandusky, you got Perrysburg, Oregon Clay, and then in the bottom you got Whitmer and Anthony Wayne. Whitmer's the only team to beat Sandusky this year, 84-71. So gentlemen, what do we think, or what do we make of this district?
Oh, it's tough. I think on paper, the 2 most talented teams in Northwest Ohio are in this district, with Lima Senior and Toledo Whitmer. Lima Senior, one thing to note, they've been without junior Jaquel Cotton for virtually the entire season. I'm not sure if he's coming back anytime soon. Definitely something I would have to look into. But I think we're going to get a rematch in the district finals of a game that went to overtime earlier this year and was a big time game according to what I heard and what I saw. I am going to go with Toledo Whitmer over Lima Senior in the district final.
I'm going to take Whitmer as well. They have the best guards in this district and enough experience to have me picking them.
I think a Lima Senior Sandusky game could be really, really fun. There's a team there that could mess that up, which is Perrysburg. Coach Boyce does a great job at Perrysburg. Seems like they always make a pretty decent run in the tournament. But I am going to go with Whitmer as well. I believe this is the third time they've played. Is this the third time they've played Anthony Wayne this season?
I would assume if they're in the same league.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Whitmer, and to be honest with you, it could be Lima Senior, Sandusky, or Perrysburg, the other team in that district final. But I'm going to go with Whitmer as well.
First time Whitmer and Anthony Wayne played, Whitmer won 59-53.
Yeah. I knew it was close.
Second time around, though, Whitmer won 68-50.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably more of an indication of the gap between those teams.
Yeah, I mean, Whitmer has won their last 5 games by a minimum of 13 points, including a few routes in there. So definitely a nice way to kind of head into the postseason if you're Coach Stacy.
Shout out, though, to Sandusky head coach DeMar Moore, though, man. What a great job bumping up. You know, they had the great year last year in D2, bump up to D1, 21-1. Would love to see them make a little bit of noise in the tournament. And, you know, we might get to see a Whitmer-Sandusky rematch in the district final. All right, Northwest 2, we got Toledo, St. Francis de Sales, Northview, Toledo Start, Findlay, Toledo St. John's, who we mentioned earlier, Southview, Sylvania Southview, and Norwalk, the Truckers up in D1 as well. Where do who we like advancing here, gentlemen?
I have Toledo St. John's here. Not only do I have them winning the district, but I think they're going to make their way to the regional final and take on potentially Garfield Heights, which would be a rematch of last year's regional final. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I also have Toledo St. John's. I think it's crazy that they were the 6th seed in this double district. Just the punishments of playing a tough schedule this year, not worth it on the seed line, that's for sure.
Yeah, Toledo St. John's 14-8 on the year. We mentioned it earlier. Only one loss to an Ohio team. That was Ed's. I think it was like a 9-point game, somewhere around there. You know, Findlay's had a really good season. Don't think they've played this schedule that St. John's has played. St. John's, handful of these guys were on this team that made a kind of an improbable Final Four run last year. When they got there, and I don't want to say this in a derogatory way, but they looked happy to be there. The other 3 teams wanted to win that tournament. And I'm not saying St. John's didn't want to win the tournament, but you could tell like it was a big deal for them to make that Final Four last year, kind of out of nowhere.
That was an historic run. I'm trying to figure out what seed they were last year. It was
they had kind of the same record as they had this past year. I think they were like 13-9 in the regular season last year, or something like that.
Yeah, I'm just pull it up.
So I'm gonna go with Toledo St. John's as well. We have went through.
Toledo St. John's was a 9 seed last year.
Wow.
And they ended up making it all the way to state Final Four or something.
So we've went through four districts, and we have not picked anybody different yet.
That's not going to go that way with that region.
Yeah.
I just think the fact that we've all picked somebody's going to mess that up.
There could be 2 or 3 teams that mess that up.
Yeah, you could get Brecksville, Findlay, Lima Senior,
Sandusky. Yes.
Yep.
All right, let's go to Region 2, gentlemen, where we have what do we got here? The Northeast 2. Louisville, Medina, McKinley, Cleveland Heights, and Glen Oak. Roth, what are you thinking here, man?
I'm going to go with Louisville. We've talked about this team a lot. They play a good brand of basketball, take care of the ball, led by a trio of upperclassmen who've played in a ton of big games. And I think that they got a pretty good draw in the districts. And this whole region, pretty weak. I think a lot of teams ran from St. Ignatius and they went to the west side. I think that overall, in terms of depth, I think that there's a lot more in Region 1 than there is in Region 2. So I'm going to go with Louisville here. But I think that's probably my biggest takeaway throughout the whole region is how much tougher the other region was.
Spoiler alert, as I was going through these districts, and typing up my schedules and just kind of making my picks for this, that St. Ignatius Northeast 1 district, that might be top to bottom one of the worst Division 1 districts I've seen in quite some time. I mean, that was pretty, I can't remember, like maybe I'm just having some, prisoner of the moment right now, but man, when I looked at that, I just was like, I couldn't imagine what the district final was going to look like. It was absolutely insane.
So, TJ, I'm assuming that you're going with Louisville as well?
Give me the Lex, baby.
Yeah. Interesting here. I think battling out of that bottom half of the bracket, McKinley, Cleveland Heights, Glen Oak. McKinley played Louisville pretty tough. I think that was not too long ago, a couple weeks ago maybe. Glen Oak, dangerous as well with their ability to score. But I just really like this Louisville team as well. So give us a clean sweep with the Leps. All right, Northeast 4, Brunswick, Brush, and then you got St. Ed's. What are we, Roth, who do you like here?
Eric Flannery in March. That's who I like. I like him a lot.
He's like Izzo. He's like Izzo in March.
A lot better than Izzo. A lot more consistent track record.
I went with
Eagle.
I went with St. Ed's here as well. Definitely kind of torn a little bit between them and Brunswick. I think that should be a very competitive game if those two were to match up. A game that I think you could almost flip a coin on. But I just went with the experience, the seniors, and Coach Flan. And Coach Tim Smith, friend of the show.
Yeah, give me the district titles in the St. Edward Eagles. Just go like peanut butter and jelly. I mean, it's just bound to happen. Give me the Eagles. Moving on to regional play.
It's been clean sweeps this entire Division 1 so far.
Yeah. We'll see. I think it's going to change. Maybe in this district here. Green, Northeast 3, Green, Menor, and then you got Dover and Jackson. Roth, is it Menor or is it Jackson?
Wow, disrespect to Green. I got Jackson, though. I think that they are playing red-hot basketball. They got a couple of guys who can hurt you scoring the basketball. They share the ball. I'm going to take them, but I think Green is very alive to win this district as well.
I think all four teams that Stubbs mentioned could win this district, if I'm being completely honest.
I would be surprised if Dover won it.
Yeah, I mean, Dover's probably a little bit better than you think. They beat Kent McKinley this year. They've got some pretty good wins on their resume. While I do think it might be a little far-fetched to say they could win, but I definitely think they're more than capable of getting to the district final. And once you get to the district final, anything can happen. But with that being said, I'm going with Menor. I just think they just have, the two, and no matter who they play in this district, I think they're going to have the two most talented guys on the floor. And I think that says a lot, with Matt Bedell and Ian Iapolo. So give me Menor.
Well, Green and give me a second here to plug the Sammy B and Lee show that my man TJ was on this past week. They've been telling me that Green's a little banged up. Couple of big injuries with that team. So I'm going to stay away from them. I think this matchup with Menor and Jackson could be really good. I don't think this is the type of team. I think Menor can outscore Jackson. So I am going to, and I think they have better top end guys. Jackson is playing really well. I think they've won 10 in a row. But I'm going to go with Menor to advance out of here as well. And then Northeast 1, I don't know. Ignatius, Elyria, Fitch, Solon. We're Ignatius across the board, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's go to, we're heading to the vaunted Central District where, gentlemen, when you just look at this thing.
I have no clue, guys. I'm going to be completely honest here.
Throw it on the wall, see if it sticks, man.
No clue.
Let's start with Central 2. Orange, Columbus South, DeSales, and then you got Reynoldsburg and Marion Harding.
I'm going with, in my opinion, the most talented team in Central Ohio. I'm going with Reynoldsburg. I think this is the year that, they get over the hump. So give me Coach Andy Moore, another friend of the show. But, oh, man, it's tough to go against Coach Kalo and just how well those guys play. I think it's refreshing when you watch a team and their guys know what they are and who they are. And I think that's exactly what you did with Olentangy Orange. They share the ball. They compete at a really high level. Those guys play within themselves, and they have an absolute stud in Devin Brown. But I'm going to be very curious to see if they were match up with Reynoldsburg, just how they would be able to deal with that length and that athleticism and that just relentless offensive attack. Close. I battled back and forth on that one, but I ended up going with Reynoldsburg.
I agree. I think Reynoldsburg, their size and athleticism, it's a little similar to Pickerington Central in styles of play compared to what Olentangy Orange usually faces against Dublin Kaufman, Hilliard Bradley, Upper Arlington, a different level of athlete there. So I'm gonna go with Reynoldsburg as well.
Yeah, I agree with both of your analysis. There's one thing that is going to make me go different here. Knowing Coach Kalo, and this runs in all their blood. When you do something like, whether it was intentional or not, they're going to use this as fuel. Reynoldsburg jumped in their bracket with them. And those Kalos, man, they're going to take that personal. And he is going to have those dudes amped for that game. Reynoldsburg is playing extremely well right now.
That's so tough too, man. Because when I first saw that, I thought it was a typo.
Yeah.
I was on the 270 Hoops kind of live. They were doing live brackets as the coaches were picking their lines, which is really cool. Shout out to Zach Fleer, Jason Morrow, and all those guys. Speaks as well. But I was like, whoa, there's no way. And then sure enough, when I confirmed it, but man, if you're Reynoldsburg, I'm not sure where you go in that situation. I'm not sure if I want to go play Delaware Hayes and Jesse Burris and Landon Vanderwalker or, Hilliard Bradley, which I think is a very interesting style clash for them. Maybe you jump in the Newark bracket with Pick Central and those guys, but, there's a bunch of, familiarity there. So I don't know. It was an interesting choice, but when I thought about it, it made a little bit more sense than I had originally thought.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Orange. Central 4, Newark, New Albany, and then
Thomas Worthington.
Yep, them two. Westerville North and Pickerington Central. which I think that could be an electric district semifinal game.
This might be the most competitive district out of the four. And that's no shade to anybody else because I think any of these top seeds can be knocked off along the way. Man, I'm going with Coach Quack. It's just they just always seem to get there, man. I don't know how, don't know why. They just get there. I think this year is no different.
I'm going to go with Westerville North. I think they probably have the best guard talent, experienced team, a lot of juniors and seniors on their roster. Just think the duo Ty Perkins, Micah Young is enough to win them a district. It's like you mentioned, you could go four ways here, but I'll take my chances with Westerville North. Haven't been to a district final either of the past 2 years after strong regular seasons. They got by Westerville South back-to-back years. They're not going to be seeing those same nightmares. There's no Coach Kalo on the other side, but there is a Coach Kruger trying to stop them from getting there. So we'll see.
Yeah, let's just skip Stubbs' pick here.
Do you guys want me to even talk? Not really. Yeah, listen, there's 4 teams that could definitely advance here, in my opinion. I just think for Pick Central, this matchup with Westerville North is a very good matchup for them. A team that's going to want to, play wide open a little bit. Roth mentioned Norse guards. I'd probably push back on that. Jawan Turner is a kid. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that's played in more big-time Ohio high school basketball games than Jawan Turner. Spiva, he's gonna be just an absolute wrecking ball in that type of environment. But I think in that game, if it comes to fruition, I think Braylon Wells is the key in that game. If he has a big game, I think they win. And then the reason, other than purple and white coming out of my veins, is I like the fact that Central has lost to Newark twice, and then they lost to New Albany in a game they definitely should have won. It was a real tight game. So I like that advantage for them in there, and I'm going to pick Central to get out of here. I just think so much experience with Turner, and I think Spiva, another guy with a ton of tournament experience as well. So I know they're young at some spots, but those 3 guys are going to have to carry them, and I think they're capable of it. But I like you guys' picks as well. All right, Central 3. I think this district has got a lot of depth to it. Delaware Hayes, Marysville, Westerville South, who I believe is the only team to beat Hayes, Northland, Gahanna, Big Walnut, Grove City. I think there's a lot of meat on the bone here in this district.
Yeah, I might kind of have to retract what I said about, that Central 4 district. Just kind of hearing those teams again in Central 3. I mean, it's tough. I think inevitably, though, going with Delaware Hayes.
I agree. I think that they have the size, the shot making, they take care of the basketball. There's a lot of talented teams in this district, a lot of talented players, a lot of experience, but at the end of the day, I'm going to ride with the team that has a pair of Division I recruits in Jesse Burris and Landon Vanderwalker. Give me Delaware Hayes.
I am going to make this a clean sweep, man. It's Hayes' time. The Pacers, it's their time. Coach Adam Vincenzo and the boys, it's their time. And I think this team is just primed and ready to make a deep run. They were in the district final last year. Lost to a team that's better than them, Olentangy Orange. But I think this team is primed and ready. All right, last one, Central District 1, Bradley, Licking Heights, Olentangy Liberty. Then you got Westerville Central, Pick North, Dublin Kaufman, Upper Arlington. Another parity-filled district.
I've mentioned it more than a few times, man, but this is like my favorite region of the state, regardless of division. I am very excited just to see how this plays out because I genuinely have no idea which way this could go. I think in this district you might get what could be possibly the best of district semis game of the entire Division One tournament, with the potential Hilliard Bradley Olentangy Liberty game. Bradley kind of boat raced them the first game. I think they won by 17, and then the second game they only won by 3. So I think that's a very scary game for Bradley. But I do have Hilliard Bradley winning the district. It's just going to be a fight.
Yeah, I've got Hilliard Bradley as well. I think when you have a player like Cade Norris as a senior, a program who's won a bunch of big games, I think that they're going to be able to get it done. I think the other district semifinal between Westerville Central versus Pick North, that could be a fantastic game as well.
Yeah, Pick North and Westerville Central have played 2 times already this season. I think you're going to see a lot of grinded out, low-scoring games in this district for sure. I thought Bradley was one of, if not the best teams in Central Ohio to start the year, and I think they prove it in this district. So give me Bradley. All right, gentlemen, we got one more region to go, and I am kind of crunched for time here. So let's see if we can amplify this a little bit here. Region, what do we got here? Region 4.
Southwest 4.
Southwest 4. We got St. X. We've got Sycamore, Aiken, Hamilton, and Oak Hills. What do we like here, Rob?
I'm going off the board. I'm going Oak Hills in an upset. I think they're well coached. Just think that this is a wide open district. You could go five ways maybe, but I'll go with Oak Hills.
DJ?
I'm going with St. X here. I think they're pretty battle tested, having played both Elder and Moeller twice. They had a really big win over Lutheran East back in, I believe that was January or December, one of the two. So yeah, St. X.
All right, I'm gonna go with Sycamore here, just to kind of be a little different, I guess. They got a big time player. I do think that St. X is going to be really hard to beat in this district, but I'm going to go a little outside here and go Sycamore. So we're all 3 different there. Southwest 3, Winton Woods, Centerville, West High, Middletown, and Fairmont.
It's Morrow's favorite team, Centerville Elks. I'm going to take them.
I can't believe I'm about to say this. I am going with Centerville as well. But I'm not extremely confident, man. And I didn't think I would say that prior to the season, but this Centerville team has just laid some eggs, man. Very talented, but I'm not sure they're as tough as the Centerville teams that we've been accustomed to seeing in the past. They've lost some games that just the last few years they wouldn't have, like probably not even close. But yeah, I'm going to go with Centerville, but I would not be shocked to see Fairmont or Winton Woods or somebody else come out of this district.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Centerville as well. I think they're the most talented team, but boy, have they just limped to the finish line here. And I don't know if they're just tired. I mean, it's been a long run these last
4 years.
Yeah, it's been a long run. But I'm going to go with Centerville as well. Southwest 2, we've got Elder, Wayne, Northmont, Lakota West, Princeton, and Lebanon.
I'm going to go with Huber Heights Wayne. I think that they have a nice path to make it to a district final. They've been playing their best basketball. They got a coach who's been in a bunch of big games, a guard, Juan Cranford, who's played in a bunch of big games. Boots Perkins is talented as well. They've got some tough physical football kids as well. So I'm going to take the Wayne Warriors in this one.
TJ, who you going with here? Elder?
Yep, I got Elder. It's tough though. I could very, very easily see Huber Heights winning
Yeah.
this district. I think Northmont is a sleeper. I could see Northmont making it to a district final as well. But I am going with Elder here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Elder as well, man. But I like Ross' pick. They're playing really well late here in the season. So
Shout out to Coach Martindale, man.
yeah, he's doing a good job.
He seems to win games, man, regardless of what he's got or who's back or which football kids are playing, which kids aren't playing. This guy just wins games.
Yep.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Elder as well. Region 4, Southwest 1, we've got Moeller, Beaver Creek, Springboro, and Goshen. I feel like Moeller is the St. Ed's of the Southwest, where they just seem to have a pretty decent path most years. But I'm gonna go with Moeller. I picked them.
Going out on a limb there.
Yeah, I'm really going out on a thin limb, so I'm gonna go with Moeller.
I'll agree.
All right, before we get out of here, we got to make our quick region picks.
All
Stubbs,
right,
you first.
let's do it. Give me, I'm going to go with Sonny Johnson in Region 1. I am going to go with Cam Joyce and the Ignatius Wildcats in Region 2. In Region 3, woo, buddy, it's a tough one. Give me Delaware Hayes. Give me Hayes, and then give me Moeller in Region 4. Those are my 4 state semifinalists.
Man, I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb here, man. I can't believe I'm doing this to my guy, but give me Toledo St. John's
Okay.
in Region 1. Region 2, I am going to go with Ignatius as well. Region 3, oh, man, I am so torn here. Give me Delaware Hayes slightly. I almost wanted to say Bradley. And then lastly, I am going to go with, even though I just kind of crushed them a little bit, give me Centerville. I think they figure it out, man. I do. I don't know why. I think they do.
I'm going to go with Whitmer, Iggy, Bradley, and Moeller.
Well, go ahead and scratch any of those teams off the list, guys, and make your picks accordingly. Well, gentlemen, it was another great show. So for TJ Petros, Mike Roth, I am Kurt Stubbs. We're out.
Record.